Under exception C9, student discipline, C1, specific personnel, C11, actual threatened litigation, and C21, approval of previous closed session minutes. I'd like to call to order the September 10th, 2024 Waukegan Public School Board of Education meeting. If I can have a roll call.
Mr. Riddle,
Present.
Mr. McBride,
Present.
Ms. Hannah,
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez,
Yes.
Ms. Fabian,
Present.
Ms. Lenzing,
Present.
President Ewing.
Here, we do have like a motion to resume open session.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Lindsay.
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Fabian. All in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. We're now back in open session. Mr. Gonzalez, if you'd be so kind as to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I'm going to hold my board president's report at this time. We do have item 6. Actually, I'll have a couple brief remarks. It won't be my president's report, but as an opening. So we did this month or last month have the passing of a previous board member. We've had the passing of a staff member. And then we have the passing of a recent graduate that the superintendent will be stepping out early to attend that memorial service. So I do just want to take a moment of silence for all of those that we've lost and even those names that we may not know.
James.
Thank you all so much. Student board member time.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
No worries. And our other student board member did notify me that she'd be unable to make it this evening, as she is making sure that she stays on task with some of her assignments, right? So we do know that school is important and that comes first. So we have our spotlight on 60.
They're just a great bunch of girls. I think that their work ethic is probably the best I've been around. They come hard every day. They hold each other accountable when they don't think that their teammates are working as hard as they should be. They expect everyone to be on this team doing their best and working as hard as they can.
I love my teammates, my coaches, they're very supportive. I love that can't nobody guard me and that I don't got to get tackled in the sport.
I feel like I'm making history right now, so I'm very excited.
Yeah, so I'm super excited. I always wanted to play flag football actually, and ever since the school announced it, I was always like really hyped about it, really excited about it.
Just so excited just to see like what the season brings. I know there's gonna be a lot of learning curves. This is the first time for everyone, but I'm just really excited to like do
Have
stuff.
fellowship and just be hyped.
Have fun, yeah.
Oh, it's so exciting to have an additional female women's sport. Girls sports is blowing up between the WNBA and the national soccer team with the Olympics and everything. So the fact that they're bringing in flag football for these girls to have something new and exciting, it's amazing.
Go ahead, Ms. Hannah.
They had their first game last week, and I went there. It was really exciting. I mean, I watched the whole game. It was exciting, and you know, I have to get my mind switched to, okay, they're not going to tackle.
No.
Okay, they're just pulling the flag off, right? And so, but it was really exciting, and I just hope that that more people come out to watch them, and because it's good. They're playing this evening. They may be already done. I don't know if they won or not, but
So I just
They
got
won?
the news, 30-0
Yeah.
against Wheeling, and today was
Yes.
their homecoming.
yes.
30-0.
Yeah, yeah. So if when they play, they could really use bleachers full of people out there cheering for 'em. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I just want to make a comment that I did flag football in college, and as the female quarterback, when you throw that long pass and it completes, and it was co-ed, so when the guys' jaws drop, you're just like, yes, women can do it. So I love to see this opportunity for our girls. It's great.
Awesome. All right. And Miss Avian, did you still? No, all good.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, congratulations. We're excited to see those opportunities for our students. Next up, we have item 8A, approval of the minutes for the open session meeting August 13th, 2024.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Riddle, seconded by Ms. Gonzalez. Any comments, questions, corrections to the minutes? All in favor signify with aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Minutes are approved. We now have our opportunity for public comment as they bring the sheet forward. Any, you get 3 minutes. This is your opportunity for the community to address the Board of Education. It's a one-way dialogue. If you need translation services will be provided to you, and you'll get an additional 3 minutes for a total of 6 minutes to allow for translation. We do ask that you refrain from mentioning student and staff member names in your remarks. First, I'll call the names in the order that they appear. We only have 4 names today. So Ray Vukovic, Rayon Edwards, Helen Anathanasopoulos, and Elizabeth Moreo. Whenever you start speaking, Mr. Vukovic.
Yeah, good evening. I could hear the flag football this afternoon sitting on my deck having dinner, and the announcer was very enthusiastic. So some 6 blocks away, we could hear it, and it was very exciting. I'm standing up here. I probably should ask for an interpreter, because as I stand up here and other members of the public stand up here, I'm not sure what language comes from me to you, because it seems like there's members of the public stand up here and express their opinions. There are staff members that express their opinions. There are students, even your student board members have expressed their opinions, and things kind of fall on deaf ears. And you know, it's a lot more than just the administration's recommendation. You all need to start listening to everybody. And you know, case in point, looking on your agenda tonight, you are going to vote on one SRO. And I stood up here 4 weeks ago and made the public aware that we started school without any SROs. And you know, I think back when I was in high school, if I turned in a project 4 weeks late and it was only half done, there'd be a big F, or sometimes the teacher would write the entire word incomplete. So while some of you may think this is a great thing, you're only halfway there. You need to have an SRO in both schools. And as soon as that's taken care of, you need to start sitting down with the city and being grown-ups about it and communicating back and forth and get it done for next year. There's no reason we're now starting the 5th week of school and you don't have that done yet. I see that you're going to be addressing, looking at a policy, administrative leave and suspensions. You know, I would ask that you look at a number of your policies. You know, one of them might be as far as when there's a family member of a board member or a family member of an administrator that's been hired, that should be noted, and there should we should see what the chain of command is. Shouldn't have a relative reporting to a relative. You got 2,000 jobs here. Either they don't work here or they need to be working for somebody else. They shouldn't be reporting to a family member. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vukovic. Mr. Edwards.
Good evening, board and community. Rushing today, Mr. McBride, you missed an event September the 1st. At that event, the Southside Reunion, I was going to bring it tonight, but I want to read it, man, just to say thank you, man. Most of all of my life, just about, I can remember you always doing something as it relates to the South Side of Waukegan. You always managed to have something going on for us. And so the award read, with our deepest appreciation in honor of your dedication and years of loyalty to the South Side, your name. And it quotes, a time to look back with admiration and a time to look forward with anticipation. And it says, we love you. So I was gonna bring that tonight to just thank you, man. I know I give you a lot of slack a lot of times, right? A headache, so I'm gonna say to these members, when I give y'all slack and give y'all a headache and y'all want somebody to blame him, because I learned a lot of what I know from him, his tactics. As we talking tonight about the SRO officer, I've been doing a lot of research myself, talking to the police officers, looking at the school shootings and things like that, and I'm looking at this, I'm learning relationships with people, and I'm watching all of this. And the thing that saddens me the most about this whole thing is we have outside influence. That's the thing that saddens me the most. The outside influence. When you look at the data, and we're talking about school shootings and things that happen in the school, most of the time it's in the elementary or the middle school. So now we finna pay $130,000 to have one officer. So you're gonna do 3 days here, 2 days here. So when I think about what Mr. Sebecki said at the last meeting, that the kids in 11th and 12th grade, they are used to being together. But here over at Brookside, we bringing in 5 middle schools, 5. So we're gonna pay $130 for somebody to go sit in our school, laugh and kick their feet up and chill at Washington campus, where there's no really thing going on there. Outside of them packing Family Dollar parking lot. That's it. But Brookside, we got a tornado. And again, we got on agenda tonight talking about explosion. Different number, which simply means it's a different student. And this is the stuff that I'm paying attention to, because we barely into school and we're talking about explosion. And so I have to call my state senator and my state rep and ask them why or how can a district do this when they make this recommendation. First time, have these kids been suspended several times? They say only if it's a weapon. What are y'all keeping from this community?
Thank you, Mr. Edwards. Ms. Helen? Whenever you start this out.
I'm going to ask just a question. I'm allowed to say your name here?
Yes, we request that you refrain from mentioning staff member names in your remarks, but it's a request.
Does the attorney, am I allowed to say the attorney's name?
And that's the only question, and then I got to start the time, Miss A. So they're public employees. Again, I request that you refrain from mentioning staff member names in your remarks.
The clock started. I didn't start.
Yeah, she didn't.
You need to go back to 3 minutes, please.
We also have been doing it back and forth that none of the other public
What
is
she-
allowed. So if we can restart the timer, and then if you can start your time, Miss A.
Good evening, board members. 19 years in the Waukegan Public School District and in the same building, 18 years in the Gifted and Accelerated program. Things started to change at John R. Lewis when the new administration, the principal, and others came in. For 5 years, the tenured teacher has been harassed and harassed even now. August 7th, the first day to report to work for staff, the tenured teacher reported to John R. Lewis building. August 8th, an email sent in the morning stated that the tenured teacher to report to HR for processes administrative leave until further notice. August 9th, while the district was at the staff kickoff, the tenured teacher was sitting in at Lincoln Center lobby with 2 security guards. The tenured teacher spent 13 days in the HR department in the room. August 27th, the Waukegan School Board took board action, voted to fire the tenured teacher after 19 years of teaching in Waukegan. August 28th, the district administration called for a wellness check and sent the police on the tenured teacher. September 10th, which is tonight there's another board action to dismiss a tenured employee. The Waukegan Legal Counsel should have been aware of the Illinois School Code on August 27th when the school board took action. The same tenured employee is on the board agenda for tonight up for dismissal. Yet once again, we are here, the same tenured employee is on the board agenda, as I stated. The school board should evaluate the legal counsel and administration. There was a time where some of you were standing at this podium concerned about the district. The school board should be listening to the concerns of staff, student, and public. I just want to know why they want to fire me. 14 days at home, and they can't tell me why. 2 times being fired, and I don't even know if I have insurance. I brought this to the attention to the public because you left me no choice, because I was trying to be very polite about this, to have a conversation with everybody that was involved. Instead, I reported for investigation on a staff member, and the legal counsel did not follow through.
Thank you, Ms. Heller. Final name this evening is Elizabeth Moreto.
Hello, good evening. My name is Elizabeth Marrero. I am part of Juntos, which is a not-for-profit in Waukegan. And this year we are the coordinators of the Viva la Independencia Parade in Waukegan. We're here regarding the request for the waiver to use the parking lots for the staging, and also to allow visitors and participants to park for free in Abbott Middle School and the Waukegan Washington campus. So we're just here, if in case you guys have any question regarding, so you know I'm here to answer it. Let me know. I'm more than free, as well my other two colleagues. We also want to invite you guys to participate. I really hope to see you guys there. We do have the ROTC already signed up, the school marching band, and they're very excited. A couple other groups, social groups for students, they already signed up. So it's a very cultural event, traditions. The purpose of the parade is just to celebrate the Hispanic Heritage Month, as well as the Mexican Independence Day Parade and other Latin Americans here. And as you know, Waukegan, we're, there's a very large number of Latinos living here. So we are residents, we are taxpayers as well. So hopefully it's a fun day. We're excited, we're ready, and we hope that everybody has fun. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. We do thank everyone for their public comments. We can ask when we get to that agenda item. All right, we are now at our consent agenda. There are 3 items. Any board member can request that any item be held over and voted on separately. If you would like to vote on any of these items separately, please give me the letter at this time.
Letter C.
Letter C. Anything else? If not, motion to approve the consent agenda items, letters A and B.
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion by Ms. Lensing, seconded by Ms. Gonzalez. Any comments or questions on the motion? There was one request about cleanup related to item 11A. Ms. Hannah?
Yes, I'm wondering for Juntos, right? Is that how you pronounce it? Juntos? Yeah, I said it right. Okay, are you all gonna have complete cleanup? And no, you.
Yeah, they need to for the mic.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
the mic.
For
Yes,
the mic,
please.
yeah. For if this is granted, okay, for the use of the parking lots, right? And that's all I'm concerned about.
Yes, we will be cleaning up the parking lots, and as well as the horse matter. I know that's also a big concern.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
That's all.
Any other questions for the organizers of the board,
What
the
about-
district?
And the Cosmos Soccer, who's doing that?
The coaches.
I don't know if they're here. Is anyone here representing Cosmos this evening? No?
Well, is that a school sponsored thing?
It's,
No.
can you guys pull up the attachment?
Yeah.
Cosmos,
The
Carolina,
coaches.
you sound like you know about it.
So these are, the coaches are always responsible for finding a place to practice. So that's why they're coming up as individuals, but they're part of a bigger organization.
And so they
The organization does not provide a place for them to practice. They only provide the venues for them to play the games.
They're just
So
the
it's up
group,
to
the
each
league.
individual coach to find a place. And so most of the kids that are in their program are Waukegan kids. And so for them not to have to pay another fee for the rental of the practice is why they're requesting the fee waiver. But it's something that is very frequent
So this is
with,
just,
with ways.
they're servicing our children.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
Call the question.
Roll call.
Ms. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Mr. Riddle?
Yes.
Mr. McBride?
Yes.
Ms. Hannah?
Yes.
Ms. Lensing?
Yes.
Ms. Fabian?
Yes.
President Ewing?
Yes, items approved, motion carries. That's item 11A, approval of facility. Can you go up, Mr. White? Facility rental waiver request for Juntos NFP, and B, approval of facility rental waiver request for Cosmos Soccer. We got item 11C, approval of facility rental waiver request for International Christian Fellowship.
It is the recommendation that the Board of Education authorize the superintendent to retroactively approve the facility rental waiver request submitted by International Christian Fellowship per ICF's classification 4. The combined requested balance to be waived for rental fees is $3,920. Pastor Henry is requesting that the Board of Education waive all fees due to a pending change in classification.
Go ahead, Mr. Riddle. Did you have a question on this one?
Did we get a motion yet?
Yeah, we have to
Do we have a motion?
I motion.
Motion by Ms. Gonzalez,
Second.
seconded by Ms. Fabian. Any comments or questions on the motion?
Yes, I wondered if Pastor Henry was here tonight. I had heard he was going to be here to answer questions.
Mr. Pastor Henry, are you in the audience? No, is there a specific question that possibly the administration can answer for you as they
Okay.
reviewed the waiver?
My concern is that Pastor Henry lives in Waukegan, but he's a member of. I did a little research on this, and he's a member of a large church that is in Chicago, and it is International Christian Fellowship, and so it would not look like we are supporting a church. My concern is that he's already had a service on August 17th and was billed $364. $204 of that was for custodial, $160 for rental of the gym. Because it being a Saturday, we had to have staff there. I understand he's asking for that now to be waived as well. And I have nothing against a church using our facilities, but he wants to continue to use our buildings for the next year through June of next year, and is asking for everything to be waived. Churches usually, contribute something. I know many churches in the community rent their facilities to other churches and charge a minimal amount depending on what the church can afford. Some churches, as they grow, pay a little more, but they don't expect the facility to provide them a place to use it, and heat and electricity and even custodial services for free. And it seems to me that as a school district, we shouldn't do that either. We should expect some payment from a church, however small.
Just for clarification, Mr. Riddle, I think that he requested a full waiver.
Yes, he did.
Our policy only allows a partial waiver.
No, but now he's saying because he's in Waukegan, he's requesting a full waiver of the entire $7,000. If you look at dollars for the entire, he's asking for retroactively us to waiver the $364 that he was billed for August 17th, and then continuing each week at Hyde Park School. Although he plans now to meet on Tuesdays instead of Saturdays.
I think to help kind of Mr. Riddle's point, it's confusing because the recommended action is Pastor Henry's requesting that the Board of Education waive all fees due to the pending change in classification. When would we change their classification?
This is the one that came up last time, and I questioned their
It came up
address.
last time.
Yeah.
And
So
the classification.
when we,
Let me finish. The change of classification came about because he now lives in Waukegan, but the church he's affiliated with is in Chicago. And I notice even the
that's how he presented it
insurance
last time.
certificate still continues to list, International Christian Fellowship. So he's still affiliated with a large church in Chicago, starting a branch church, if you will, out here. And I have no problem with that. I think it's wonderful, but I think we should require some sort of payment from this church in order for us not to look like we are sponsoring a church, to keep that separation of church and state out there. So I'd like to see some negotiation with him as to what he could pay either now or in the future, or at least retroactively for the Saturday that we had to provide custodial service for him.
So my question is more, again, because it's pending the change, how are we verifying or acknowledging when it's a Category 4 or Category 3? Because even in his initial waiver, it said his address was Waukegan, but the actual organization was not part of Waukegan, which would have made him a 4. So what are we as a district requiring as documentation to understand whether they're classified as 3 or 4? And it's still kind of muddy because it's like a pending change. So are we saying that we've already received that documentation and we know for sure that it is an organization in Waukegan?
So would you all like the additional information to be brought back in one of those specific questions? And then if you guys want to withdraw your motion, I do want to remind the board too, is that we wouldn't be making the decision based on the fact that it is not, a religious or
I don't
church
care about that.
affiliated. But the question is, which category do they currently fall into? And that is a fair question for the board to ask and consider.
All right.
I think it would be okay with the partial waiver, but if it's the full waiver, then no.
So I think in the recommended action, it's only requesting $3,920, but he's asking for a full.
Yeah.
So I think we just need to, when we bring it back, clarify, like, he's asking for a full, but the recommended action is this. So removing that from what we're approving.
Noted.
And I'm going to make this comment. We need to start thinking about charging what we need to charge for the use of our buildings, seeing how that it actually becomes a liability on our finances. And you all have heard me say before, that we need to curtail our spending, and this also includes waivers for the use of our building, seeing how it also could be come and a revenue stream.
Thank you. So are you guys withdrawing the motion, or are we calling the question?
Yeah, because we need, there's more
I think
information.
I need the clarification to just know, are we doing?
So then just
Are we doing the
partial?
So I'll withdraw.
Yeah, and I think we need clarification, because it says in our, it says dollar amount, $73.20, and then it
Yeah.
says pastor's requesting the waiver of all fees due to his new reclassification, so.
Yeah.
Ms. Gonzalez, do
I'm
you
not prepared to.
I
vote on
withdraw
it.
as well, sorry.
Clarification.
Thank you. So if we can get those clarified, then we can come back. Purchasing contracts, we got 12A Waukegan Public School athletic trainer.
It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Education approve the 3-year contract with James Lee for athletic training services in the amount of $3,046,744.
I motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Gonzalez, seconded by Mr. Riddle. Any questions, comments on the motion?
I just want to clarify for the public why we're going with a contract and why is this not instead a posted position that we hired for. I just want to make sure it's clear for the public, right? Because we've had questions before when we've had contracts with individuals versus the quote-unquote traditional hiring process, so I just want to make sure that's clear.
Who can take that?
Dr. Cesario? Correction, Miss Patty.
Good evening, board, members of the community, colleagues. We have in the past posted for athletic trainers, but it's been a very challenging position to fill, and so we had to look for outside opportunities to make sure we had highly qualified athletic trainers servicing our students.
And how long have we had this contract, Ms. Patty?
We had it for last year as well, and so we are going in, we are exploring the 3-year contract upon board approval, knowing that it would be contingent on funding being available annually.
Go ahead, Ms. Ann.
So, what happened to Athletico?
We are using Mr. Lee is his name. Athletico was our prior entity. I don't have the background with that company per se, but I can find out specifically why that company is no longer one of our vendors.
Yeah, because this is $250,000 for this, and well, me, I'm not comfortable right now. I'll vote by conscience, but this is a lot of expenditures in light of us having to take out a $30 million bond for stuff. And
So, oh, sorry.
I think, look, we need to the 3-year contracts and stuff. Okay, I understand that it will solidify the for 3 years, but we don't know what our finances are going to be in 3 years. So I can't support this.
I just wanted to comment, and thank you. I mean, thank you for sharing that. In terms of Athletico, they could no longer provide. They did not have the staff to provide us. So we were able to find Mr. Lee, and to fill that void. And we have to have this in order to make our sports programming whole. I know you know that, but I'm just making you aware that it is a very hard to staff position. We had an Athletico could no longer provide it, and that's why we had to go out and establish this contract.
And okay, I'm just seeing James Lee. I don't know James Lee from Santa Claus. And where's his credentials? Where's his qualifications?
Performance recognition.
Huh?
That would work out the same if we hired him internal, right? We'd still have to go through that
Right,
process.
Yeah, I get it, okay? And where's all of that stuff?
Have you all confirmed his credentialing and that he's able to provide the services for this?
It was vet through the contract, and yes.
Thank you.
So he does list his certifications in the agreement itself.
Did you all put that in here?
Yes, ma'am.
It's attached.
And I do just want to reiterate both what Dr. Cesario stated as well as Ms. Patty. We are required to have an athletic trainer at our sports activities. Mr. Lee has been serving in that role. I don't know how long, but the contract does take into consideration that the dollar amounts
Yes.
that would be approved now, if they are not approved for every budget year, then that would end the agreement itself.
Ms. Lindsay.
I just want to reiterate that, I appreciate that it's a hard to staff position. I also feel that our student athletes need extremely qualified individuals to help guide them, because one of the reasons we lose students in high school is because other schools will look at their athletic talent and say, come with us, we'll take care of XYZ so you can play for our team. So I love the fact that our students are getting access to are getting access to a quality trainer. I just want to make sure that as we continue to look at contracts, we're finding ways to insert outcomes-based contracting so that we are safeguarding ourselves when we are making these commitments into receiving results with our students or with whatever role they're in.
I echo that. I think that this is a really good investment for our students. I think a lot of our students also want to look into this as a career. That's really great exposure for them to not only be able to play for us, but to get to know these professionals. So I don't see, it costs a lot, but that's because they're specialists.
Roll call.
It's costing a lot
go ahead,
because
Mr.
it's
McBride.
multi-year.
I was looking at.
We're not expending it all this fiscal year, but that's a good point.
I was looking in the back of the audience back there in that corner. Athletic trainer, Mr. Briner. I think he used to be one. Is that correct? Okay, thank you.
Roll call.
Ms. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Mr. Riddle?
Yes.
Mr. McBride?
Yes.
Ms. Hannah?
I am not in favor of it because of the multi-year contract and the uncertainty of our finances in 3 years.
Ms. Lindsay?
Yes.
Ms. Fabian?
Yes.
President Ewing?
Yes, item approved, motion carries. Item 12B, IGA, approval of public safety services and a governmental agreement between the City of Waukegan and Waukegan School District Number 60.
I apologize, Board President. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the intergovernmental agreement between the City of Waukegan and the Waukegan Community Unit School District Number 60 to provide public safety services for the 2024-2025 school year, with the modification of the assignment of one school resource officer, and to authorize the Board President and Board Secretary to execute the agreement and any writing requested by the City to memorialize the modification.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Riddle.
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Fabian. Any comments or questions on the motion?
Yeah, we need 2 SROs. And I don't know how this is going to work out. I'm hoping for positive results. However, we will not have SROs for the middle school, and we need them there too. And so one SRO is not enough, and we're getting the top of the line with the officer that we are getting. However, the terms of the agreement I have are problematic to me as well. You know, we're going to pay whatever we're going to pay, but I just don't think that we should be harnessed for picking up back pension. So,
Thank you, Ms. Adna. Ms. Lindsay?
I'm going to try to keep this even keeled as possible. If I get passionate, I apologize. It comes from a good place. So we've had 2 public comments regarding this, right? I understand Mr. Vukovic's concern that school has started, the community wants it, staff have told us they want it, parents have been polled they want it, etc. There are individuals who don't, but the majority has said, yes, we want these individuals, and we've already started school without them. We've also had a comment from Mr. Edwards that these instances, these school shootings that everyone is very concerned about, typically happen in elementary and middle school. Another statistic is that they happen by white males. And they happen because we do not have proper gun reform on a national level. Illinois is set, but we have other states around us, right? So I'm saying this not to say we're protected, because it could truly happen anywhere. But when we want to look at safety, it's not just police. It's getting individuals access to resources. And as a school district, I feel we have done a great job in trying to make sure that our students have access to mental health, that they have someone that they can go to either in the building or through the wraparound center. Another part that goes into this is just making it okay to say, I need help, I'm not well, right? So it's a community call to action to say, if you need support and you're going through something where you feel like you need to resort to a school shooting, we want you to use the resources that this district has put in place, like going to the wraparound center and self-reporting. I am frustrated because we do have a great SRO that has served this community, and I hear great positive things of the connections he's making with our students. So I'm hopeful that's going to continue with this contract that we're going to approve. The frustration is if the school district is responsible for funding the teacher's pension, then the police in the city are responsible for properly funding their pension. If they are in arrears, or if they have to make larger payments for missed contributions, I don't feel that that is the responsibility of the school district. And it's unfair that we are put in this position because to the community, it seems like we don't care and we don't want, and we're being hardballing on these numbers. We have a financial responsibility, and we have to recognize that safety is a shared community with the city, with the school district, with the park district, on an individual level, on a macro level. It's everyone. So I am going to vote in support of this, even though, like Ms. Hannah, I have concerns with the terms of this agreement. I hope after this agreement we can take a look in January and reassess and see where we're at, and have it well in place prior to the start of the next school year.
Miss Fabian?
I'm going to read my statement because I don't think I can not be passionate if I don't.
It's very hard.
But I will say I am excited to vote yes and finally get our SROs back, especially reflecting the strong community support for their presence. While I have concerns about this year's negotiation process and the implications on the district's new fiscal obligation to pay a high rate pension due to the city's fiscal issues, my priority is the safety and well-being of our students, and they deserve to have their voices heard. Families and students have expressed their appreciation for the SRO, and I share their enthusiasm. The positive community connections and the national recognition of our SRO has earned also underscore their value. But as we look forward to next year, my ask is that I hope once this mayoral election concludes and we know who our new city leadership is going to be, that we can promptly review and continue this process if the students and the families wish to retain SROs in our building.
Ms. Gonzalez?
At first, I want to start off by saying thank you to everybody who reached out to the board through email or through other means to share your concerns. I hear loud and clear the public comment both at City Council and here at the board podium, and I understand the concerns, and I'm in an extremely privileged position to not have children in the school district. I don't have any kids as of yet, and I know that there is a very, very unfortunate anxiety that we all have, which is completely dystopian and terrible to even think that this is a possibility as frequent as it is here in the U.S. But like Ms. Lansing stated, I think that, you know, relying on individual actors to keep our community safe is not realistic, and we have to, as a collective, decide to, on a policy level and at a local level, create solutions for our kids, and that involves creating life-affirming institutions, providing mental health support, having safe gun legislation, and I mean, we saw what happened in Georgia, but it was not lost on me that the gun that the student used to kill his classmates and his teachers was gifted to him by his father. And I think that that's really real, that we have to recognize those facts when we're dealing with something as sensitive as this, because even though I absolutely salute the SROs who confronted him at that high school, other SROs and police departments in other districts have been sued by families of victims, like in Parkland and Uvalde, and I think we don't talk about that a lot. That's not to disparage what's happened, you know, the department here in Waukegan. That's not to say that there's not work ahead of us as a community to build trust between our institutions, but to say that, you know, the fact that we were arguing this long over the cost of something like this, it just shows where our priorities are really at, and whether it's really about keeping the school safe. So I have to vote. I'll vote pass because I do want to recognize Mr. Flatico, and all the recognition he's gained. I think he's, you know, he could be a really great role model to some of our students. But I also want to just have this be the impetus for the city to have more serious conversations about what it means to be in the community, whether that means that it's at the school district's expense or not. So yeah, I just wanted to share that.
You done? You got comments?
Not really, but anyway, I guess I will say this, and that is, we have security in the church, of all places, but you just never know where the trouble gonna come. And if you're not prepared, shame on you. And once again, as I said here, it's all about the dollar when we're looking at our priorities in terms of what we're talking about right now. But I don't see the dollar, I see babies. Regardless of what that amount is, it doesn't make a difference to me. The value of their life to me is more than a dollar when it's all said and done. So at the end of the day, as Ray was saying, it's adults going back and forth bickering, and in bickering, it's a dollar. It's a dollar. I ain't gonna do this. I ain't gonna do that. But at the end of the day, I don't have no kids in school. But I would imagine if I did have some in school, I would want whatever it takes by any means necessary to make sure that they're safe. And if it's a dollar involved, so be it. Put them in there. That's all I got to say.
I do have a comment regarding that. I have 3 kids in this school district. I am proud to have my children in this school district. I am just like every other parent that still has that fear. This is not about a dollar. It's about the appropriate way to address the root cause of why these shootings are happening. And to Ms. Gonzalez, I really appreciate all of the comments you made, because it's not going to come down to more police in our school, more police on the streets. That's not the source of it. However, I do respect the officers that we've had. I do respect the role in the bridging of community and
that's what it's
in law enforcement, and that's the intent, right? So if we want to address school shootings, that is a separate conversation from our SRO.
It's a shared responsibility at the end of the day.
Yes.
So
it's not a dollar.
And we talked about the accusations. Again, I don't want to go line for line with what was said. I'll just say that it wasn't 100% transparent. What I also will say is we had a situation, and somebody asked why should the city of Waukegan, and the term that they use, subsidize an officer in Waukegan Public Schools, because their constituents don't have students that attend Waukegan Public Schools. And the superintendent provided a thoughtful response in that the provision of police officers to Waukegan Public Schools is a matter of ensuring the safety and well-being of all students, regardless of their township or residence. While it is true that some of your constituents live in Warren and Zion townships, their children or the children of their neighbors likely attend Waukegan schools. This investment in school safety is about protecting our entire community. Moreover, the presence of these officers helps maintain a secure environment that supports the education of all students, which in turn contributes to the overall quality of life in Waukegan. The cost is shared because the benefits, safer schools and a more stable community, are shared by all residents. And so it's unfortunate that it took this long. As a point of record too, the reason that we as a board were comfortable approving one, you guys have seen the budget document, we've been back and forth with that. The board presented a good faith effort and asked that we get 2 officers at $220, which wouldn't have included the payments. The administration at City Hall was not open to that. So right now there's only 1 certified SRO in Waukegan, and so that is Officer Filatico. So the reason that we are approving 1 at this time is that's the only one that they have available for us to start immediately, and it's very important that we get him back in the schools as soon as possible. And so I hope that the board will vote in the affirmative in order to agree, in order to bring Officer Filatico back as soon as possible. And we can obviously reevaluate this if there's a determination that a second SRO is needed and there's a qualified, certified SRO available to the district in addition to Officer Filatico. So I do appreciate the angst and anxiety of parents. And with that, I would like a motion to, not a motion, I got a motion in a second. Roll call.
Mr. Riddle,
Yes.
Mr. McBride,
Yes.
Ms. Hannah,
I know we need the SROs. We need 2 SROs. Yes, reluctantly, yes.
Ms. Gonzalez,
Pass.
Ms. Fabian,
Yes.
Ms. Lenzing,
Yes.
President Ewing.
Yes, item approved, motion carries. Have personnel items. Item 13A, the International Association for Truancy and Dropout Prevention.
It is recommended that the Board of Education authorize the superintendent to approve 1 department manager, 3 truant officers, 1 alternative placement officer to attend the International Association for Truancy and Dropout Prevention, IATDP, 112th Annual Conference. It will be held this year in Charlotte, North Carolina from October 6th through the 9th, 2024. The expected total cost is $12,225, which includes registration, lodging, travel, and meal per diem.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Gonzalez, seconded by, motion by Mr. Riddle, seconded by Ms. Gonzalez. Any comments or questions on the motion? Ms. Fabian?
A couple quick comments. One, thank you for filling out the documents in its entirety and completion. That helps us to really look at all the information and be able to take a reasonable action. So thank you for filling out your documents appropriately. And then second, after they attend the conference, if we could set up a time to meet. This is something that I know even at the state level, we're really looking at chronic absenteeism. It's nationwide where it's gone up after the pandemic. So just, I would love to meet with them and see if they've learned any new data or gleaned any new strategies afterwards.
Thank you. Roll call.
Mr. Riddle,
Yes.
Mr. McBride,
Yes.
Ms. Hannah,
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez,
Yes.
Ms. Fabian,
Yes.
Ms. Lenzing,
Yes.
President Ewing.
Yes, item approved, motion carries. Item 13B.
It is recommended that the Board of Education accept the administration's recommendation to approve the appointments, retirements, retirement extension, and accept the resignations as found on schedules F1002, N699, L949, and G660.
I motion to approve the recommended.
With the exception of the first name on the non-certified staff resignation schedules L949.
Okay, now I recommend with the amendment too.
Motion by Ms. Gonzalez.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Riddle. Any comments or questions on the motion? Roll call vote.
Mr. Riddle,
Yes.
Mrs. McBride,
Yes.
Ms. Hannah,
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez,
Yes.
Ms. Fabian,
Yes.
Ms. Lenzing,
Yes.
President Ewing.
Yes, item approved, motion carries. We have a couple administrative appointments.
Give me one moment, please. It is my pleasure to introduce the following appointments. Our first appointment will be Dwight Trelong, who previously served as a motor transport operator at USMC Camp. Now, he will now serve as the educational safety specialist here at Lincoln Center with a starting salary of $60,000. Congratulations, Mr. Trelong.
And Waukegan graduate.
And he's an alumni. Thank you, Ms. Lensing, for catching that. Our second appointee will be Mr. Christopher Duran. He previously served as a curriculum specialist with youth guidance. He will now serve as the manager of K-8 sports at the Washington campus with $63,000 salary. Congratulations, Mr. Duran.
At Washington campus.
Washington High School, I'm sorry. I seen the WHS.
Right, but he's K-8.
Well, it's the athletic department is located there, so I think that's why they put that there.
Oh.
Thank you. Congratulations and welcome to all. We have item 13C, dismissal of tenured employee 6405, including adoption of charges.
It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the administration's recommendation for dismissal of employee number 6405 for cause and as being in the best interest of the district and its students, and recommends suspensions without pay pending completion of dismissal proceedings, if any, and adopt and sign the resolution setting forth the bill of particulars and assignment of legal counsel should a hearing be requested.
I motion to approve.
Motion by Ms. Gonzalez.
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Fabian. Any comments or questions on the motion?
Yeah, why are we being just generally assigning legal counsel before we know anything?
The resolution itself provides for a recommendation of the legal counsel that would be appointed if the hearing is requested, so that we don't have to come back to board for that appointment, and it would make the process of starting the hearing process more efficient.
Okay, but so do we already have outside counsel that we're looking at filling that assignment?
This documentation was to recommend Franzik to do that representation.
I don't think we need to pre-assign them.
Explain publicly for why we're required to do this action here. Yeah.
I've been requested by the board president to advise that this matter is back on the agenda. The school code does require that there be a majority vote of all of the board members, and I had forgotten that rule last time this was brought forward, so the item was asked to be placed back on the agenda.
Thank you. Roll call.
Mr. Riddle,
Yes.
Mr. McBride,
Yes.
Ms. Hannah,
No.
Ms. Gonzalez,
Yes.
Ms. Fabian,
Yes.
Ms. Lansing,
Yeah, I know, but I'm gonna have to save that comment. Yes.
President Ewing.
Yes, item approved, motion carries. All right, we are now at financial reports. Item 16A.
It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Education ratify the second August 2024 processing of board bills, manual check request payments, and Old National Bank insurance payments for the period of August 21st, 2024 through September 3rd, 2024. The accounts payable board payments for the period of August 21st, 2024 through September 3rd, 2024 total $2,848,257.74. The manual check request payments for the period of August 21st, 2024 through August 3rd, 2024 total $3,170,455.58. The Old National Bank insurance payments for the period of August 21st, 2024 through September 3rd, 2024 total $3,888,927.84.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Riddle, seconded by Ms. Gonzalez. Any comments or questions on the motion? Roll call.
Mr. Riddle,
Yes.
Mr. McBride,
Yes.
Ms. Hannah,
Pass.
Ms. Gonzalez,
Yes.
Ms. Fabian,
Yes.
Ms. Lansing,
Pass.
President Ewing.
Yes, item approved, motion carries. Now at item 16B, open the hearing on FY 2024-2025 original budget.
It is a recommendation of the administration that the Board of Education, through its president of the board, officially open the hearing of the original budget as presented.
Motion to approve.
Motion by
Second.
Mr. Riddle, second by Ms. Gonzalez. All in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Budget hearing is now open.
Board President, board members, superintendent, colleagues, community members. We presented the budget that's before you on two separate occasions. And there's been a few slight modifications to the budget because, as always, we do it from year to year. Review the budget to make sure that there's no duplicates in there and that we make sure that we have a sound budget that's in alignment with ISB's guidelines. And so the budget that we're presenting to you tonight is presented prior to the statutory deadline of September the 30th. And so we give ourselves 2 weeks in case we have to make some revisions at the desire of the board. So we're open to whatever questions that the board and our community has for us.
Go ahead, Ms. Hannah.
With the modifications, I'm interested in what modifications to the budget took place, and was that where the dollar amount went up or went down?
the dollar amount did not go up because, as I mentioned to the Board of Education during the budget workshops, that we did not want to do a deficit reduction plan. And so under the direction of the superintendent and district leadership, we looked at the budgets. We made sure that our priorities were addressed, that the schools were not reduced any monies. Quite the contrary. Some of them got more than what they asked for because of the comparability requirements, because we're a Title I school district. So I cannot give you the specifics at this time, but at a later date, through the superintendent, we could provide more information to you.
Yeah, because I'd like to know where there were adjustments, because I did attend the budget development, and there were specific things that were there, and I just want to know what modifications from that time.
We could certainly get that information to you through the superintendent.
Thank you, Ms. Pope. Ms. Fabian?
I just want to say I really love that the state of Illinois is really going to that evidence-based model. So for constituents out there, really continue to push your legislation to continue to fund that so we can continue in the positive direction that we've been going.
Yes.
And if people don't know, the school district is not funded 100%. Our adequacy level is what?
74% now.
74%. So we are not getting all of the monies that a district like the size of ours should be getting to adequately, and I'm just using the terms,
yes,
adequately financially
absolutely
educate the students
absolutely
as other cities and districts are.
Absolutely. And thank you for mentioning that, because even the CPPRT, and these are things that our district has to contend with, as with districts across the state. Because in 23, we had $22 million in CPPRT, corporate property taxes. And I think we mentioned that before. Mr. Vukovic kind of stepped in and helped us to explain that. And then last year, we had $15 million. Well, after we started the budget process, which will also account for why we had to make additional adjustments, we found out that CPPRT dropped to $10 million.
Wow.
We lost 5 more.
Wow.
So that's what required adjustments to the budget. And kudos to the district for making those courageous decisions, because we could have just said, okay, we're going to submit a deficit reduction plan, which would not have been in the best interest of the district. But the looking at the budget again and making the necessary revisions happened.
And so the corporate tax rate,
yeah,
were they reduced because of appeals?
I don't even know how that really works. I think that Joe got up and he, and I'm saying that honestly to you, because it actually comes from the state, right? And it's based upon some laws that was several years ago, 1970. So that's out of our control. It's nothing that we can do. We don't know how much it's going to be from year to year. So it's a lot of unknowns when we start doing the budget process.
Right, but you heard my question, right?
Yes.
Because I know that sometimes we get appeals.
Yes, that's for our taxes. Yes, tax appeals. Yes.
Appeals.
Yes.
And I'm wondering, did we have any of those?
We always have those with the taxes within Lake County. Yes, we have those.
I'm talking about those corporate.
I don't think that has anything to do with that. The tax appeals doesn't have anything to do with that.
Well, because we employ
Yeah,
an attorney that goes to court or goes to the hearings
yes.
for the appeals.
Our local taxes.
For our local taxes.
Yes,
And that's what I'm asking.
yes,
Have we had any of those?
yes,
Oh, we have?
yes.
Did
And we
they-
turn those over to the legal office, who then turns it over to the attorney who represents the district.
To clarify, maybe Ms. Hannah, because this is like a lot of information to digest, but you're saying the corporate tax
Two different
impact
things.
but that's imposed by the state.
Yes,
And so we
Local
only
taxes.
get appeals for our local taxes at
Correct.
the district. Okay.
correct.
Yeah, that's why it's different then.
I can get you information on the appeals that have come forward and the success that he's had in challenging those.
Right, and I think that it would be beneficial for the public to know too.
Yeah, but our portion
need
of
a
what we
lobby.
receive wouldn't be impacted.
I
by
already
that.
know.
No,
I
we
know.
would get more if we win, you know. And we have seen some adjustments to our general state aid because of those appeals. So we have seen some of it.
Thank you, Ms. Lindsay, and then Ms. Fabian. Do you have any?
I just want to make one comment.
Go ahead, Ms. Lindsay.
Okay, so 74% adequacy
Yes.
is
I'm sorry,
concerning.
Mr. Vukovic. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to both. I want to make sure that everybody knows I got them in order.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Go ahead, Ms. Lindsay. Sorry.
74% is a concerning number.
Yes.
And I know you advocate to the board to raise taxes so that
Yes.
we can increase that percentage.
Yes.
I'm trying to phrase this to be as appropriate as possible, so if I misstep, please correct me.
Okay.
From my perspective, given the history of how our community came to be, along with many other communities on how they came to be, essentially, it's in an inequitable status. And so if we wanted to see this 74% increase, there are schools that are funded well above 100%.
Yes.
So that would take a county level or maybe state level change to how taxes are distributed to students in this state that would benefit the entire state.
Yes.
So that is something that we as a board should be advocating for, right? But
Can I say this?
yeah, jump
Okay.
in.
So the state aid is funded at $350 million or $1 billion. Okay, $1 billion. And that has to be distributed across all of the school districts in Illinois.
Yeah.
Those school districts that are in tier 1 get like 90% of the money.
Yeah.
Hear me now. Those school districts that are in tier 1 get the majority of the money.
Okay.
Those school districts that are in the other tiers split the 10%, plus tier 1 school districts split it as well. So unless they're going to fully fund evidence-based funding, we're in a good place.
Okay.
We're in the
So for the state, right?
Yes.
So that I'm glad that the state is handling it. I think county-wise, we see some very distinct differences when we look at our schools versus more affluent community schools, right? So it's more of a county issue.
Taxes.
In one
Taxes.
respect. If we had more businesses and corporations here in Waukegan, that would also increase it.
Taxes.
Taxes. Well,
Income tax.
we want, but here's
It was
my
the income
beef with
tax.
that. We continue to want to tax the people
Yeah.
when we live in a community that is of a lower socioeconomic status. So that to me is not equitable. That's not fair to our families that live in this city. So I'm just highlighting different ways that we could be advocating. One, make Waukegan a place that people want to live. Make it where businesses want to be. but then also push for equitable county tax distribution.
Well, the only thing
Those
I
are
can
my
say-
marching
yes,
orders.
The only thing I could say, just for information to the board, so they can make their informed decision, is that over the last 4 years, we've kept the taxes level. So that means where we kept it level, our tax base stayed level. And so where we could have gone up $1 million each of those years, we lost that $1 million, and it's compounded over years. So here we are right now where we have a significant reduction, and we're not even supposed to be talking about this right now, but it's just an awesome time to talk about it. So here we are right now where we have significantly less in CPPRT. And we're not getting as much as we desire in state aid because they're not fully funding it. It would be the ideal time for us to increase our taxes at a reasonable level, but to increase them because we need the revenue. At the board's desire, we've increased the salaries across the board with all of the unions. So great thing. But having said that, that is a cost that doesn't go down unless there's true attrition, right? Other than that, that cost is going to go up and compound it year after year. So with those considerations, I would strongly, strongly, strongly suggest to the Board of Education that we consider increasing the taxes. I see the faces of many of the board members, but I have to say it.
I
Yes,
just
ma'am.
want you to be extremely clear because
Yes.
there's confusion in the many discussions.
Thank you for
The
that.
school district has not increased any taxes to our community. So any increase that they've seen on their community tax bills, it's not on the school district.
No.
Just to be
Thank you very
extremely
much.
clear to clarify.
And the
Thank you
mayor
very
should know
much
that.
for saying that.
Yes.
Thank you. I appreciate the confirmation. We'll shout it from the rooftops. I hear you on increasing because it's the time.
Yes.
But we also have the other component of it's not fair to our families, that it should go on them. And my marching order is to see how we can get it from other sources and other communities that are over 100% funded. That's my marching order. You don't have to comment.
Ms. Fabian, you said you had a
I
comment.
think Mr. Vukovic was.
I'll go to Ms. Vukovic first if you had a question. Can we get a microphone for Ms. Vukovic? You got one? Go ahead, Ms. Vukovic.
He was patiently waiting.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Almost. Yeah.
You want me to bring this one?
Okay. First of all, talk about the corporate personal property replacement tax. Since 1970, with the new state constitution, there hasn't been a personal property tax in Illinois or a corporate personal property tax. But when they made up the new constitution and did all that, they had this personal property replacement tax that they put in place to give local governments the monies based on levels of corporations were paying back in pre-1970. So this was taxes on corporate personal property on places like Outboard Marine, which is gone. John Mansville, which is gone. You know, those kind of things like that. So it's, you know, in a way, as unfair as Illinois taxes are sometimes, it's kind of a plus for a community like Waukegan, because there's other communities that didn't have something in a cornfield in 1970, and it's there now, but they don't get that. But that's beside the point. Pensions. Now, there was discussion during the police officer vote about the pension amount, and I'm not trying to defend the city or anything like that, but I think that some of the board and the leadership need to be educated about just how much the district puts into the TRS pension system. You know, it's the state of Illinois that funds it. This board puts about 1.5% in for all the TRS employees. State of Illinois puts over 30% in for each and every. So it's not this district that has to budget that. You know, you guys give raises, and then the bill goes to Springfield, and they've got to pay it. So it's a different situation, and that 30% takes into account the fact that that pension fund was underfunded for some 40 or 50 years.
Thank you.
But we're taking included.
Thank you, Mr. Vukovic. Miss Fabian.
Sorry. I just want to say, I know how you all work the budgeting process, so I want to thank all of the leadership who come together to really be strategic on prioritizing everything so that when we have these deficits, you know, we know quickly what we need to strike out. But also, on the plus side, when we get a windfall of money, if there's a grant or something, we know what to add right back. So just kudos to you for implementing that process of really having everybody prioritize the needs.
Thank you.
And that's where I hope to get ready to close the hearing, is just with kudos to the board in that we did hold the line on taxes. I understand, and we did that clear ride because I'm in banking and financing, and I understand when we go, we cannot do it all, what that really means. And so that means that we do have to make difficult choices. I'm on a call with school board presidents from throughout the state, and I can tell you that in other districts, now that we've hit that Esser cliff and things are not fanning out like they thought they did, and people put money into personnel, I'm not going to name the districts, but they are talking school closures, they are talking rifts, they are talking deep
Districts near us.
cuts. I don't think we are on the path to do that. I'm looking at Ms. Polk. She's telling us that we will be looking at our first tax increase for the last 4 years. I'm saying it publicly because people have to understand why we're doing it, and the fact that
And go vote.
There's no more us.
and the fact that
Wink,
we haven't done it, right? But we still have been fiscally responsive, and to both points, we are still not fully funded. So even though we're making these sacrifices, we're doing so understanding that we're balancing the needs of our education, meaning there's a number that the state of Illinois has said that it costs to educate a child, and we are spending 78% of that number. And in school districts, to Ms. Lensing's point, they're spending 125% above the adequacy target.
Yes.
Because as long as we continue to fund public education in Illinois on the backs of property taxes, the system will always be unfair. And so I get this board is not going to change that today, but I have to say it every time that I get it, because when you're comparing our district and then you have a district where they have one school, there's going to and so I have to be clear with the community. We understand the concerns, and we don't say this flippantly about all taxes are going, like, no, but we have to make an investment in our students' education. So we're hoping that we've been responsive and responsible with tax dollars over the last few years. We can look to many of the building improvements that we've made, and we've been able to do those because of our strategic budgeting process, because we make sure that we know where those dollars are going. And so it's actually one of the things that I'm most proud of during this tenure. Ms. Hannah talks about the foundation that previous boards have laid to get us to this point, and I really am big about making sure that we continue on this financial path. And with that, I would like a motion to close the hearing on FY 2024-2025 original budget.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Fabian, seconded by Ms. Gonzalez. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. It's adopted. Now we are going to go to.
Oh, it's closed.
Thank you.
That's close.
Close.
So
We still got a motion to adopt.
adoption of FY 2024.
Okay. It is a recommendation of administration that the Board of Education approve the FY 2024-25 original budget as presented on the official Illinois State Board of Education ISB document, which are summarized on an attachment for ease of review.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Riddle, seconded by Ms. Gonzalez. I mean, we had a bunch of comments. But any comments or questions? Roll call.
Mr. Riddle,
Yes.
Mr. McBride,
Yes.
Ms. Hannah,
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez,
Yes.
Ms. Fabian?
Yes.
Ms. Lenzing?
Yes.
President Ewing?
Yes, item approved, motion carries. We have item 16E, proposed levy information for tax year 2024. It's an information item, so is this what you will deal with that one, but explaining exactly what Ms. Polk just
They
did?
should have sent it our way.
So we have reports that are listed. I haven't gotten invited to any committee meetings. Has anyone else at this point received invitations to committee meetings outside of the Black Mill?
Policy, we
You guys
had
met?
one, but we haven't gone yet.
Oh, you haven't met yet?
No, we
The,
haven't met.
and the EAC is taking applications, but our first meeting I think was scheduled.
Awesome. So there are no committee reports, but we are starting to get invitations, and I look forward to committee reports at an upcoming meeting. Ms. Hannah, any delegates report?
Just that you make sure that you are communicating with Ms. Jasmine for the different dates that are coming up.
Leagues conference.
Yeah,
Right.
leagues
Next
coming
meeting.
up and stuff.
Right.
But that's it.
Thank you, Ms. Hannah. The next superintendent's report I asked to hold. I know she had to step out. We have information from the FOIA report that's been listed there. And then there's the old business, which is board policy. Ms. Hannah did want to bring some things to the board's attention. So based on protocol, can I have a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Motion by
They gotta
Mr.
open
Riddle,
it up.
seconded by Ms. Gonzalez. Any comments or questions, Ms. Hannah?
Yeah, I was asking for this policy to be not acted upon at this time because the way that things are being, well, first and foremost, how did the policy come up for revision, and did a board member ask for this?
This policy revision came out of board concerns with how administrative leave was handling when we had some staff that had been there for an extended period of time. We did resolve those concerns in an MOU with the teachers union at the time and had committed to updating the policy to address that as well.
And these are administrative. Okay, so the union, I'm not sure, is aside from our certified teachers are involved in this. And what my concern is that if we have X'd out many of the protections for the employees to have due diligence in their employment. And I mean, in America, everybody has a right to confront an accuser or to be able to talk about what is being alleged against them. Now, and also, it's going to cost us more money to litigate with us putting this this new policy in, because we have taken away the safeguards for our staff, and we should not be doing that. Yeah, there were concerns, but for this to be reworked the way that it is, it's not giving the board, even, there's nowhere in here that talks about the Board of Education. This is a Board of Education policy. We need to know what's going on with our employees, with our staff. And if they don't have the ability to even to question what is being done to them. I mean, what is that going to say about, number one, our policies, but also what is it going to say about the board and how we are looking at our staff? We should not be putting things in place that's going to be a detriment to the staff. And so you know, and you can say what you want, but all three policies, what's wrong with it? Why are we even messing with it? And then to take out the substance of this, you are putting all of our administrators on notice that they don't have any recourse. No recourse, and you go to one person, the person that put you on administrative leave, but then you got to go back to them for an appeal of the administrative leave if you disagree with it, and it still doesn't come to the board. So this should not. We should leave our board policy 4112. Leave it alone, and there's no need to alter it or anything like that. Now, we're gonna do what the board is gonna. The majority of the board is gonna do what they do, and I know it doesn't even matter about what I say, but I'm just telling you, administrators.
Point of clarification, Ms. Vanderbroek, does this policy only reflect administrators?
No, this policy could apply to anybody that is placed on administrative leave. I do believe, and Mr. Moten, correct me if I'm wrong, we did share this policy draft with the unions. They are aware we are updating it. The language in particular under administrative leave is tied to Section 3 to actually give more protections to our administrators. We have not, in this policy, removed any procedural safeguards. We have clarified the language in order to help staff better understand what the challenge process looks like and the nature of the information that would be brought forward. They still have the right to challenge that before the superintendent or her designee, which is the same challenge process that is in the policy currently.
Good. Can't just
I have
give
comments, too.
total and sole responsibility to one person. You cannot do it, and you should not do it. We should not do it.
I have.
So by doing nothing, I got you, Ms. Gonzalez. I'm going this way because I had
Go
a
there with
Yeah.
me, Brandon.
Miss Hannah. You gotta. If we can't have
It's
a
a
conversation, this is why we
discussion.
don't get
We
poli-
can,
No, we
but-
can't because you don't. I'm done. Miss Lindsay.
Okay. So some of my concerns, right, is tied to this policy update proposal aligns policy with current practice. So to me, that says we were not following our own board policy.
That's right.
I'm just going to be very clear that that's one of my frustrations.
So we were following board policy. We entered into an MOU to shorten the time frame in which individuals could be sitting in the administrative building. And that is what we are updating in this policy to align with what the shift in practice had been. And that was undertaken both in part to a challenge and a desire to work that through with the teachers union, but also taking into consideration the comments and concerns raised by all of the board members.
Okay, apologies if you're repeating what you just stated. I was, to Mr. Sebecki's point, having a sidebar while you were talking, so that's not productive. What I would like is if this is current practice due to an MOU, that be explicit in the blurb.
And what MOU? For what? We're not talking about teachers.
The-
I'm concerned about those
I do have more.
non-union people.
Right.
This would cover those individuals as well.
Can we define administrative leave?
Yes.
I think that's the confusion.
Yeah, administrative leave, it is with pay. It is put in place while we are investigating a complaint that has come forward to the board. We outlined for you some of the reasons why that could be done. It is typically done to ensure that we don't have ongoing conflict between individuals during the period of investigation. It's a particularly common thing to do when we're investigating conflicts between staff, so that
But
we
I think
have
the
a fair
clarification-
investigation.
The clarification is that administrative leave is for all staff. It means that an administrator
Correct.
is putting you on leave, not that you are an administrator. So
Correct.
all staff can potentially be put on administrative leave. This affects all, not just administrators. I think
That's
That's
correct.
where the confusion is coming.
No, the confusion, Miss Fabian, okay, is that we can't do anything with the union people. We can, but that's a process. This, on the other hand, this is for administrators. Administrators.
But
It can be twisted and turned however you want it, however it's being explained. It is, I've been looking at these policies.
That's not how I understand.
28, I understand, and I understand it differently because I've been here and I know what this is. It does not. There was an issue that came up where this policy was not followed, and now it's got to get fixed and tweaked so that that it's gonna go in favor of the administration and not our staff members.
So I will say policy is a management right to develop the policy. The unions can ask to impact bargain that as they elect to do.
No, the board is supposed to be developing policy,
Correct.
not the
It is
administration.
a board policy. It's the recommendation of the administration to approve the amendments presented.
How did this come about? I just want to know how it came about.
So I had a couple more.
Go ahead, Ms. Lindsay.
I think it would be helpful to define administrative leave in the policy so that there's no twisting and turning. I think that could be helpful. I am happy to see an inclusion of number 2 with regard to sexual harassment under Title IX. One component that I just like more information on. So we used to have in the policy, if someone is suspended with pay pending the outcome of a criminal investigation or prosecution, and they're terminated due to that conviction, that employee would pay back funds back to the district. Why did we remove that?
That's driven by state law,
Okay.
and I don't believe we ever have had a suspension with pay, which is why that language was removed.
Okay.
And there's nowhere I would feel more comfortable if there were if this policy somewhere in there talked about the Board of Education's role in putting our staff on administrative leave, or if we have to suspend an administrator without pay, that just can't be done by the administration. That has to come before the board, but there's nothing in the policy that even says that.
Ms. Gonzalez.
Yeah, so I wanted to say a couple things. I think what would be helpful, just as like we're discussing this now, I'm seeing that in the second reading, when we go down to suspension without pay, one of the last things that's stated is that prior to being placed on suspension without pay, the employee will be provided with notice of the charges and particulars, be able to meet with the superintendent and all of that. Written notice of the decision or corrective action will be provided. I think that should also be included in the administrative leave in some way. Prior to being placed on administrative leave, the employee shall have an opportunity to meet with the administrator to discuss whatever. So maybe having that as like an addition.
We
So-
do. I believe I understand what you're asking. We do advise them why they're being placed on leave.
But just to explicitly include that so that
In
it's
the
not
policy.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I think I feel like the way the policy reads now actually is a lot clearer. It states why, or like the several reasons why someone can be placed on a leave or a suspension without pay, which I think upholds some of the concerns or addresses some of the concerns that board members have had previously, explicitly saying that being in violation of a board policy or administrative procedure is a reason to be suspended. I think also that I really do see a benefit to capping it. And I think that that's what previous board members had cited as a concern, is that are we making progress? How often are we getting updates about a person's situation so that, they're not sitting in an office doing nothing, but still not really getting an, just like progress monitoring what their situation is. So I don't see any, other than that minor addition, I really don't see it as a bad thing to update it. I think it makes it clear. I think we're addressing the timeline issue that we've been saying has been a problem these last couple years. And it seems like the union has been supportive, so
So we got that recommendation. There was a recommendation that, Ms. Lindsay.
And I think this, so I think, I would like to see it more explicit on the board being updated with the progress monitoring. There's no schedule in here to say how often we're going to be updated.
And I'm only deep sighing because
Yeah.
I'm thinking this is part of my comments, and I hope you don't mind me getting
Jump
in,
in,
but I
go.
think it's a point. Part of the issue is, to Ms. Hannah's point, if this suspension or this leave leads to a termination, then they have a right to appeal that to the board.
Yeah.
If we are being updated throughout the investigation, then we can possibly be biased when that thing, if it eventually makes its way to the board. So what this is saying, the board has one employee, the superintendent, and then everybody else is employed underneath her, right?
Yeah.
So if it's a suspension, if it's any of those things, just a suspension that doesn't lead to a termination, those decisions stop with the superintendent. That's the way the current policy has been
Right.
practiced, and it's the way that the new policy is also being structured to practice. The updating piece is always a bit of a concern from legal, and Kathy can speak to it if she would like, where if we're being updated or told what's going on or given bits and pieces of information, if then administration moves to terminate said employee, can we be unbiased when they come to us for their appeal?
So then maybe not update with the details, but we need to extend this person's leave. So an explicit, after the 30 days, the board will be notified of a continuance of the suspension.
Understood.
Right, and also, and that's right, but then the final decision should be with the Board of Education. We are explicit by school code.
Determination.
We are
For termination.
hire and fire.
Termination.
Termination. not
There's
suspension.
nothing that
There-
says
there-
Board
Because
of
this doesn't deal with
Education.
terminations.
It
The-
does nothing, there's
This is
nothing in
suspension.
here that says the Board of Education, if there's an appeal and if it goes, if the superintendent denies the appeal, then you mean that the, a staff member, an administrator, doesn't have the ability to request a hearing before the board? Is that what y'all are saying?
As presented on a suspension without pay, that is, the final decision would lie with the
Okay,
superintendent.
well, how did you do that with another employee?
That is what has been in effect when it's been suspensions without pay. When it rises to the level of a tenured teacher dismissal recommendation coming out of the investigation, and we do have this on page 3, the dismissal of a tenured teacher, then that dismissal without pay is the board's decision. That does come to the board, and it is managed consistent with the school code provisions addressing dismissal of tenured teachers.
Okay, but, and where that's tenured teacher, what about our administrators?
If the dismissal has been simply a suspension without pay, it's not moving to a termination.
Okay, but you're doing opposite of what you did with a former staff member. You brought it before the board, and the board sat right here, and the board voted on the suspension without pay.
If that was a tenured teacher, that would have been in alignment with the
It was an
recommendation for
administrator.
dismissal. If the administrator has tenure in the district, it would have come forward and there was a dismissal associated with it. That's where it came from.
You can, I think you're misremembering, right?
No, I'm not.
Because, and I'll give an example that may help. The reason, and this is not to call it out, but it's to help move the conversation and the dialogue forward, and I'm sorry for not using the microphone. When we had the vote, even for our most recent dismissal, part of why I looked to Kathy is because a lot of superintendents are tenured teachers. And usually when a board moves to end a contract with a superintendent, they always need 4 yes votes. It's something that I know because I've researched it. And so even a person who moves and becomes a principal, who's an administrator, to your point, Ms. Hannah, if they are also a tenured teacher, they maintain those tenured teacher rights.
Correct.
I get it.
Okay.
Okay, but now we're talking about somebody that was not a tenured teacher,
She was.
but an administrator.
A principal is an administrator.
I'm
I
not
don't.
talking about a principal.
So a person who works, a superintendent is also an administrator.
I'm talking about staff that was working. I'm trying to be where I'm not calling out somebody's
And I'm giving you
name.
examples of other people who would also be considered administrators, who would have to apply, but they would also be tenured teachers.
Okay, I
When Ms.
just wanna
Fabian,
know.
when Ms. Fabian was here, she was an administrator as the director of FACE, but she was also a tenured teacher.
Get that.
Right. So the person that you're
But the
talking.
no, she was not a teacher.
Would it
Okay.
be helpful
So we
to
can
bring it
relitigate
into
maybe if
closed
that'll
session?
help.
Yes.
But
She was not a teacher.
I think we should
You
bring
can
it
have a
back
PAL without being
in closed session if it would
explicit
be
teacher.
helpful.
yeah.
Policy is not a closed session discussion,
The-
but
I'm
I
talking about the discussion
I
about the
can
individual
provide the
things.
board with some clarification of where I
Okay.
think the issue is, and I will speak offline directly with Mrs. Hannah, so we're
Yes.
sure we're talking about the same person.
Okay, that would be helpful.
But I
yeah.
do have some requested modifications and clarifications to second reading. So, Mr. President, if we could ask if we can hold this over and the motions to act can be withdrawn so it can hold over to allow for those adjustments in a third reading?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
You withdraw your motion, Mr. Riddle?
Yes.
Who was seconded? Mr. Gonzalez?
What do you mean?
Yes.
Yes.
I withdraw.
Okay, you withdraw. Thank you. So we'll be holding that over with those. And so again, Ms. Hannah, if there's specific things that you want to see in set policy, can you get those to Ms. Vanderbroek and CC
I just
me?
want to, look, put the Board of Education in there.
Can I ask another question, just to
Well-
clarify too? Is there a separate policy where termination procedures is explicitly stated? Because maybe that could also aid.
No, I don't believe we have a specific policy to that. Termination of tenured staff is driven by the school code.
Yeah.
If it's non-dismissal at the end of a year of probationary teachers, that's also driven by the school code, those procedures.
I mean, I don't want
But
to add more
we
work,
don't have
but-
a policy statement directly on it. I can look at whether there is, for example, a press policy that we may be able to model and provide that for the board's consideration.
Yeah, I feel like just so that it's included and more explicit for just the community and all. I mean, because we're not gonna search
We
up
could
the
just
school code
reference
on the
it.
website. Like that's hard to read and navigate. So
And it could help in situations.
yeah, because I think we're crossing a couple things.
I don't know how we can practice one thing, one time for one staff member, and then now it's different.
It's
that
just the
doesn't make
tenure. The
sense.
tenure is the issue.
It's fine. Or we can leave the policy the same, which
I
that
don't wanna
outcome would have
talk
been
in
exactly the way that it
private.
was.
I don't want to talk in private.
So-
I'll talk with the.
So that I'm sure
You want me to say it? You say
No, no, no,
everybody
no.
else's name.
No.
And then I will respond to that to the board as a whole. Sorry. So the board and community is aware. I've asked Ms. Hannah outside of the board meeting to give me the individual's name, and then I will give information to the board as a whole.
Well, they know because they the one voted.
It's all right.
Can we move on?
Yep. Item 21A,
It is all right, Mr. McBride.
expulsion recommendation, student 236.
Let me say this. You didn't hear me say anything. I ain't said not one word.
You said enough.
Go ahead, Mr. McBride. It doesn't matter.
No, but just the fact of the matter, I ain't said not one word.
Exactly.
I
It
just
doesn't
said
matter.
You heard somebody else, not me.
Item 21A, expulsion recommendation, student number ending in 236.
It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the resolution regarding discipline of student XXX236 and authorize the board president to sign the resolution memorializing its decision.
Okay, and I have that resolution and I will read it.
Go ahead, Mr. Riddle.
Do you have the motion?
Whereas following a building level investigation, student number 236 was determined to have possessed a weapon at school, which under the school code requires a mandatory referral for expulsion for a period of at least 1 year, unless modified by the superintendent, whose decision may be modified by the board. Whereas the Board of Education of Waukegan Community School District number 60 did receive and consider the principal's recommendation and the superintendent's agreement to modify the mandatory expulsion period for student 236 and the reasons therefore, and whereas the modification proposed is in the best interest of the district and the student, and based on a totality of the circumstances, supports the maintenance of a safe school environment, free of disruptive influences which can be a distraction to learning, while continuing to hold the student accountable for the student's conduct. Therefore, it is hereby resolved that 1, whereas clauses are adopted herein by reference as findings of the board, 2, the board concurs with the superintendent's modification of the mandatory minimum expulsion period of 3 days out of school suspension, the days of out of school suspension already served, and an individualized safety plan. 3, the superintendent or the superintendent's designee is to notify the parents of student 236 in writing of the board's determination within the next 5 school business days. This resolution will be effective upon approval by the board. We need a motion, right?
I motion
Ms.
to
Riddle.
amend the expulsion.
Motion by Ms. Gonzalez, seconded by, was that Linda?
Yep.
Any comments or questions on the motion?
I just want to make a quick comment that, again, we can't share information with regard to personnel, so staff or students, but safety is and continues to be a #1 priority for the board, and I'm going to vote to support this because it's in the best interest of all entities involved.
And
Ms. Gonzalez, go ahead.
Just to quickly add to that, I want to just address community concerns about, keeping our schools safe, as board members had mentioned, and also acknowledging that, I don't want it, we all don't want it to seem to the community that we're letting these incidents go unaddressed, or that the students are not being disciplined appropriately, etc. But like the amendment stated, we have to look at the totality of the situation, and the incidents are on a case-by-case basis. The reason that we're seeing a lot of these more consistently is because that decision to discipline the student per the school code requires expulsion to be considered, and we are all fairly and consistently in agreement that the priority should be to keep the student inside the schools as much as possible, so that they don't end up building bad habits or getting in the wrong crowd and being on the streets. So that's the only reason that we're seeing these more consistently and amending them.
Right. I would add too that under the code, a weapon could be many different things. So we're not at liberty to tell you what this was, but it is not necessarily,
Worst case scenario
extreme.
weapon.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And again, a lot of times the community is
Sometimes we're just uninformed.
no.
That's part of it.
But
That's
sometimes I think there's an expectation where the parents and individuals, like when an incident happens in the classroom, the most appropriate people to notify is that classroom.
Right.
When something happens in the school building, the most important community to be notified
Right.
is that school community, and it doesn't necessarily require a district-wide announcement. But we are, and I also think that there's confusion as to these are all expulsions. The board has actually modified the expulsions,
Yeah.
which is keeping these students in school.
Yeah.
So I know that's important.
Came before the board. For vote.
Roll call.
Just spoke.
Mr. Riddle,
Yes.
Mr. McBride,
Yes.
Ms. Hannah,
Yeah.
Ms. Gonzalez,
Yes.
Ms. Fabian,
Yes.
Ms. Lansing,
Yes.
President Ewing.
Yes. Item approved, motion carries. We are at board member time. Mr. McBride.
Pass.
Mr. Riddle.
Yes, I did a walk around yesterday with the superintendent at John Lewis Middle School. It was very informative. We visited many classrooms, saw some great education taking place, and discussed matters afterwards with the superintendent, and she'll be talking to the principal about what we saw. So that was very informative. Thank you. And everyone have a good night.
Ms. Gonzalez.
No, I just want to wish everyone a happy Hispanic Heritage Month upcoming. We have a lot of programming around that, and hopefully everyone can go out and see the parade.
Miss Hannah.
No, I'll go last.
It's your opportunity for board member time.
You said what?
It's your opportunity for board member time.
Okay, I would really like someone to explain to me and probably many other community members as well as students why are the home team during athletics, athletic games, football games, soccer games, flag football games, whatever, where the home team is sitting on the opposite side of the purple, gold, and green bleachers. I'd like to know why that was done, what was the rationale for that, and I've gotten comments from visiting schools that it makes no sense. So we're kind of still doing things that don't, that make us look not too together. I would, Okay, I'm just looking here. Let's hold on, 'cause I was. Oh, and in terms of our, the infamous Black Boy Initiative, I would like someone also to explain to me, when all of this began, we were talking about our, the scores of our high school students. And why is the Black Boy Initiative only for 3rd to 5th grade? That's what one of the guys told me, Brandon.
Then they're mistaken.
Okay, well, then show me where the plan is for the Black Boy Initiative, I guess 3rd grade to 12th grade.
Mr. Gonzalez, you can come and re-report on that. Go ahead, Ms. Hannah.
And as I've been looking back at the Eleanor report cards, and board, we got some thinking to do. Okay, because 8-9 years ago, we're no better than we were 8-9 years ago, right to this day. So, but that's about it. That I just know that the biggest thing at this point, somebody needs to explain to me 2 things. Why is the home team on the opposite side of Weisfield and not on the home side? And it hasn't been that long, even though someone quoted to me that it was done 10 years ago, which I know for a fact that it hadn't been, because 2 years ago I was over there on the purple, gold, and green side. And also I wanted some clarification regarding just who are we targeting for this initiative. Even though it should be for all students, every last one of our students, because every last one of our students are having issues. And so I need some clarification. Are we dealing with the problem that was brought forth to be addressed? And it wasn't on the elementary level. Were you talking about elementary, Mr. McBride?
Excuse me?
Were you talking about
Right
elementary?
now, Ms. Hannah, I'm ready to go home.
Well, I'm just asking.
If it would help to, I will send an email, Ms. Hannah, and include Tasia in it, but there is an event that she's planning for the high school. So
Okay, well,
we're,
I hear
you
what
want the
you're saying.
calendar. I get what
They
you're
already
saying.
have one for the high school.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of events going on. So if there's a miscommunication, we can clear that up relatively quickly. Mr. Deputy Cesario, is the Black Boy Achievement Initiative only for grades 3 through 5?
No, it is for
K through 12.
It's K through 12. Yeah.
Thank you.
And, yeah.
No, and so
Thank
what would you have a plan, the plan?
Ms. Hannah, if you want to
There's
come to
the-
that meeting, again, we can have Mike present. Mr. Gonzalez is not here, neither is Ms. Fields, because they were not anticipating this question. As a reminder, if we do have these questions or there's information that we want, you can always email the superintendent and she can make sure that those get answered. Ms. Lindsay.
So September is Suicide Prevention Month, and the community has recently experienced a loss that I'm aware of, and I'm sure there's more out there. So if you are feeling that you can't continue, we have resources available. Please contact the Wraparound Center to see what can be done or what other avenues they can help support with. We want every member of our community to be safe and happy and healthy, and so the school district has put a lot of resources in place to make sure everyone gets what they need. So before you decide to take action, we just ask that you ask for help. So just be mindful of that for this month. For the comments that Mr. Edward had brought during public comment with our middle schools, I'm just going to put another plug in that we have more integration within our middle schools. So while we'll have competing games against each other, it would be nice if we had a housing system like our elementary schools have, where everyone in the red house can come together as a district and work towards a goal, and everyone in the black house and the green house and the blue house. It creates that unity that can go up through the ages, so that when you get to high school, yeah, we used to be rivals because I'm a Jaguar, you're a Tiger, we have beef. It provides opportunities for connection, not just competition. So that's just something that I'm hoping to see within my tenure as a board member. And I also want to say that this Friday is homecoming. We have our homecoming parade at 5:30. Can I publicly say the name of the staff member that's grand marshaling? Yeah. So congratulations to Miss Amy Klein. You get to be the grand marshal for our homecoming parade. Da-na-na-na-na. I'm hoping we can bring Ghetto Bird back. That was a big unifying thing. And I'm very sad to see it go. So I'm hoping that makes a surprise re-entrance into our Waukegan culture. But if you can go to the game, go support our athletes.
Parade is at
5:30. Parade is at 5:30. And then do we have the exact location where it starts? It just says the neighborhood north of the campus, but if we have those specifics.
Just goes from
We meet at
Brookside
Brookside.
around to Washington, up Lewis.
So right out front of the Brookside campus, all around.
Going in the neighborhoods again.
It just goes around
the block.
Lewis to Washington to Macquarie, back on Brookside.
Look at Nick.
They changed it.
No,
Yes.
Nick, tell us.
It's
Share the
going-
good
it's going
news.
in
And the theme is a masquerade theme, so I'm really excited to see. Yeah.
Good.
I've got my outfit right.
Good evening. Yes, it is a mystery masquerade theme,
Yeah.
which apparently is different than a regular masquerade. And if you want to know why, you got to come to the parade and find out. It's a mystery. But the parade, they did change the route last year, so there was an idea to keep it more in line in the neighborhood. Requires less resources, particularly because we wanted to move the parade to a Friday afternoon after school to then have the crowds kind of go to the football game, which is happening. So it does start on Brookside Avenue, and it goes north into the neighborhood and kind of comes around. I don't know all the street names around there. I used to. But if you're near Brookside around 5:30, you can't miss it. And what's nice about it is you can catch it at several different points by just kind of walking around a block or so in either direction.
And I have been honored again to selected to be a judge.
Thank you, Ms. Hannah. We know you always enjoy that opportunity to judge each year.
Just remember, let's have a safe event, everybody.
Right.
And
Responsible
can,
decisions.
If the board is going to join, we do have a float again. Ms. Patty and I would appreciate help in getting it ready.
Yeah.
And the more that we know of who's coming, then Nick can make sure we have enough goodies to throw out. So please, if you're going and you're planning to be on a float, let Nick know. It helps us plan.
So we get to.
When is building?
We do it right before, so at 4:30.
4:30? We have an hour to build a float?
No, it's already, we've been doing it a long time, honey.
I'm just hearing of this now. Sorry, guys. I'm done with my
Well, now it's Miss Fabian's comment anyway.
Sorry. I want to piggyback on suicide prevention, and while, yes, we know that there are some children, some students that may be feeling some type of way. They cannot always advocate for themselves, especially if they are feeling in that deep depression mode. So I want to encourage parents to talk with your children. Don't ignore the signs. I know it's difficult conversations to have, but they are children. They can't always advocate for themselves and reach out and ask for help. As a parent, I will tell you, it is difficult, but reach out and ask for that help. There is no judgment. That is why the district provides those supports in order to be able to save a life and make sure that our students are thriving. So just a reminder for parents as well. Piggybacking on the parade and homecoming, alumni are also invited to Greentown Tavern after the game to have a big alumni reunion that is for all Waukegan alumni. It will be open to all Waukegan alumni. So Greentown Tavern, 9 to close. And then Pasta and Pops tickets are for sale. Those generally go fast. There's 2 shows. So those tickets are already out. The AMP is selling them at $20. One performance, I believe, is at $5 and the other is at $7. So please support our music program. And then additionally, this weekend is our kickoff to our Hispanic Heritage Month. So this year's theme is Pioneers of Change. And I just want to remind everybody that we all can be that. So look to the future and see what you can do to really pioneer change and make progress where you can. The festival will be from 10 to 7, and then the parade, I believe, is at noon. So I hope to see people out and watching our own students marching. They do a phenomenal job when they're out there. So that's all I have.
My only comments would be, again, as I mentioned before, we all have an obligation to keep our community safe, and safety is more than just armed security. It's how we treat each other, it's how we talk to each other, it's how we resolve conflicts. And so as a board and as a community, I'm hoping that we can get better at that, because our kids are watching and they deserve better. With that, I'd like a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Oh, 1 second. Sorry, there has to be one clarification. for the
Sorry,
record.
just a clarification at item 13B. The tenured teacher dismissal did involve Helen Athanasopoulos.
Thank you, Ms. Vanderbroek. We had a motion. Who was that, Mr. Riddle?
No, it wasn't me.
All right, who's my first?
Me.
Miss Fabian.
Trying to get outta here.
Who's my second?
Second.
Ms. Gonzalez. All in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Meeting is adjourned.
And
Thank
if you can turn your